What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this Patreon-only live AMA and movie night, so to speak. I'm opening this up to all my patrons, and then of course, it will go live. Well, not live, but it will go up on my channel for everybody to watch after the fact. So if you are watching this after the fact, welcome. This is a Patreon only live AMA, so it's open just for my patrons, which I do. I try to do it twice a month, but since it's almost Christmas, I thought, you know what? Today I'm going to open it up like a live AMA. Ask me anything, but in the background, I'm also going to be watching John Carpenter's Someone's Watching Me, which was a television movie, I believe, from 1978. Now, this sort of works the same as my Saturday movie nights, which is in the sense of you won't be able to see or hear the movie. You'll just be able to see me watching the movie. That's for obvious reasons because of copyright. I don't want to get dinged for that. If you do have the movie, which I completely understand if you don't, because it is one of those obscure, films that not everybody has in their collection, but I believe you can rent it on YouTube for like $3 or $4 or something like that. So maybe that's something you want to do, and you can watch along with me. I will let you know when I'm going to hit play and sort of tell you where I'm at, and I'll keep you updated throughout the stream if I remember it. And yeah, I'll give some commentary as I see fit as we're sort of talking about everything. Now, to those who have just joined in the chat room, my lovely patrons. We got Jason Nike is here. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Tabitha Short, how you doing, Tabitha? Haven't seen you around in a bit. Great that you can join us. James Carr is here. Jacqueline McEwen is here. Awesome stuff, and maybe some more. And Thunderknock Studios is here as well. Okay, this is good. This is a good start. And I was going to say something, and now I forget what it was. Oh, right. I was going to say that for this live AMA, you guys don't have to ask me, like, you don't have to keep it to, the topic of someone's watching me. We can talk about anything and, and just kind of keep it low key and chill. And this is going to be fun. Now, it's about an hour and a half movie. So, I think we should be out of here by 8:30, 8:45, something like that. Nothing too crazy. What do we got going on? Before I begin, we've got, let's see here. Jacqueline McEwen says, for anyone who doesn't have the movie like me, you can rent it you can rent a download for $2.99 on Amazon. Hey, that's pretty good. $2.99. That's awesome. Tabitha says, I had to rent it on YouTube. Okay, cool. Jason Nike says, won't be watching with you. 7 is my kid's bedtime, so getting 3 boys to bed can be busy. I totally understand. No offense taken. Tabitha says, good, James. Thank you. Been busy. James Carr is there. Was this movie originally intended to be the Halloween 2? Great question. For those of you that are that don't know this, the original idea for Halloween 2 was, I believe it was going to be set, what was it, a year later, I think, or something like that. And Laurie Strode had, I don't know if she was still in Haddonfield or not, but she was living on her own in an apartment building. And of course, Michael Myers returns and, I actually think that's a great idea. It's one of the reasons why I have a little short fan film on my channel that I did with my buddy Bruce. Maybe you guys remember it, entitled Haddonfield Reaper. We shot that in an apartment building. And that was sort of a bit of inspiration for that. That's just a kind of fun little thing we did, not to be taken too seriously, but that was the inspiration for it. I don't know. It's a very good question, but there are definitely similarities and parallels there for sure. Interesting. Thunderknock Studio says, how's your favorite butt gush? Oh, butt. That's right. That's from another thing where I meant to say gut busting, and I said butt gusting. That's a whole other thing right there. Okay, let's get this started, shall we? So, and again, for those of you that are watching after the fact, because it will be up on my channel for everybody to see afterwards, welcome. And if you have someone's watching me from 1978, I believe you can, like Jacqueline and Tabitha said, you can rent it on YouTube or Amazon, but you can also, I believe you can actually buy it as well, like a physical DVD copy, I think. But anyway, not that you could do that now and you would have it in time. But let's go on here. Okay, where did I put this now? I put it somewhere. Where is it? I just had it out. One second. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to start this. Let's make sure I'm going to put my headphones in for this so I can hear a bit of the dialogue. Let's see how we do here. Now, I want to make sure that you guys don't hear the movie. As much as I would love for you guys to hear the movie, unfortunately, I can't do that. So let me just see if... Let me hit play. I'm just going to hit play here. And, okay, so where I am... Actually, hang on a sec. I'm just going to do this. Okay, now let me see if I hear that. I'm just going to watch my stream for a second. Just want to watch my stream and see if I hear it. I did not hear that. Okay, cool. So that means I can have it up in my headphones a bit. Okay, sorry about this, guys. I should have had this going beforehand. Okay, so let's put that up, and then we'll put that up. Okay, so where I am is I'm about to hit play right now. I've hit play. 1 second, 2, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. The Warner Brothers studio has come up on the screen. Okay, 10 seconds. 11 seconds, 12 seconds, 13 seconds, and then the Warner Brothers logo has faded out. I've paused it there. Okay, that's where I paused it. So now I'm going to hit play again, and the movie's going to begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and begin. Okay, there we are. And we get a nice shot of old Los Angeles there from the late 70s. I like that shot. And I like how it dissolves into sort of like this nighttime sort of creepiness. And we cut in, we cut to this guy who's turning on this reel-to-reel, he's recording telephone calls. It's creepy. I love this shot here of how the camera is coming down this telescope, and then it kind of moves in front of the telescope and moves into the telescope. I really like that. I think it's really cool. Really, really cool. Tabitha Short says, so Dave, do you own this movie or did you download it as well? I actually had to download it as well. I actually don't own it. I want to own it, but I don't. So I rented it from YouTube. So that's where I'm watching it, just like you guys, or Amazon, depending on where you're watching it from. I gotta say, when I watch this movie, I like it. Like, I really do. It's, again, like, you got to think of its time, right? 1978, late 70s. But it's genuinely creepy. James Carr says, was this made for TV? It was. Yes, it was a TV movie. Let me just see when that came out. TV movie. It came out, let's see here, 78. November 29th, 1978. So it was after Halloween. It was after Halloween. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't alive in 1978. I was born the year after. But I would suspect that television audiences probably, like, the advertising for this movie was probably like, although no, at that time, Halloween wasn't a hit. It wasn't an immediate hit. I was about to say, from the director of Halloween, like in these big TV kind of ads, that probably had nothing. No, that probably was not there because Halloween was not an immediate success. I love these opening credits, by the way. And when I was looking at this, see how like you see these lines and you see all the names, Adrienne Barbeau comes up. It looks like computer kind of grid lines. And then we sort of dissolve in and you realize it's a low angle shot looking up at the apartment building. I really like that. That's a nice touch. And all those lines were actually the different balconies on the apartment, which is really cool. The apartment building, I should say, which is really cool. Jason Knight says, I think it dropped down to $14.99 on Amazon. Oh, cool. That's not a bad price. That's pretty good. It's good to see it's good to see you guys here in the chat room. I didn't know how many people I was going to get tonight because I know it's getting close to the holidays and stuff. Now, I believe, oh God, why does this actress's name escape me? I'm drawing a blank. Of course, it is Lauren Hutton. And Lauren Hutton here, I believe she's playing somebody who's 29, but in reality, she's about 35 here, which isn't that much older. I'd buy it. I could believe she's 29. Although she acts... Have you ever noticed that when you watch... when you watch older movies, right? Like, from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, maybe you guys don't watch them, but, if you see older films, they I can't help but when... I mean, even the teenagers, they're well-dressed. Like, if you watch a movie from the 50s, they're well-dressed in suits and ties, and, hello, daddy, hello, mommy. It's just, they seem so much older. You know what I mean? Oh, society's just gone to shit. Tab of the Short says, I've never seen this movie. I've seen it a couple times. Not in a long time, though, so it's almost like I feel like I'm watching it for the first time. It's good. It's a bit of it's a slow burn. Keep in mind it's made for television, right? And that's television audiences in 1978. So it's not going to be a high octane, blood guts. It's very much in the same vein of as When a Stranger Calls, but different, obviously, but the same sort of kind of thing. It's a bit of a slow burn. You're going to get the sense like you're watching an episode of maybe Murder, She Wrote kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very episodic television feeling, but it's good. It's creepy. And you'll notice a lot of the Carpenter isms, which is why I thought it would be fun to kind of share. Cause I don't think anybody's, I don't know. Has anybody in our space talked about this or, I mean, I'm sure somebody's reviewed it, but it's not one you see a lot of. So just, I'm 5 minutes and 6 seconds in. And Laura Hutton's character is now moved into this new apartment building. She's unpacking, of course, walking around in something skimpy. Well, not really, I guess. No, actually, that's not skimpy. Just her shorts are short. Let's see here. James Carr says, there's an interview in Fangoria back in the day with Yablons where they were asking him what was next. And he went on to say that he and Carpenter were making a sequel to Halloween set in a high-rise. Yeah, well, that was sort of the original concept and idea. That was the original concept and idea. I would have loved to have seen it. I think just the atmosphere that you could have created in an apartment building would have been awesome. Now, obviously, I don't live in an apartment building, but for those of you that do, maybe in the chat room or maybe you're watching after the fact, if you think about it, it could be kind of a creepy thing. If your apartment building is opposite somebody else's, you never know who's looking at you and who's watching you. Sorry, I don't mean to creep you out, but... Don't mind me if you see me chugging back a lot of water. I went for my run earlier and I didn't drink any water when I got back. Let's see here. Jason X says, I love Slow Burn. Summer of 84 was great. Summer of 84 is great. Canadian movie, by the way, for those of you that don't know, shot out in Vancouver. Summer of 84 is, I had some issues with it. There was some, I don't know, the acting was a bit wooden at certain times. I didn't fully believe the chemistry between the boys like I did, say, in Stranger Things or something. I think it could have been a bit more believable. But all in all, very good movie. I thought it was awesome. I mean, if I had made that movie, I'd be very proud of it. You know what I mean? So as you can see when you're watching it here, it does have that very sort of episodic television feel to it. But I like it. You know me, I like slow burn. So obviously this movie is about a woman who moves into an apartment building and somebody across the way in another apartment building begins to, call her on her telephone, make obscene phone calls, send her things, and is watching her through a telescope, and it obviously insidiously gets a little more creepier and creepier and creepier. So, let's see here. James Carr says the hospital setting was creepy, but an apartment would have been interesting. 100%. The hospital setting was fantastic. Fantastic. Great mood and atmosphere. But yeah, an apartment building, I mean, you think about, the different floors, right? The basement, maybe a parking garage, the elevators, the stairwells, different apartments, balconies. Would have been cool. Maybe, potentially. You never know. Could have been a fucking shit show as well. Frank Riker is here. Great to see you, Frank. Stuck on the George Washington Bridge, but listening to Dave's sweet voice. Ha ha! I am so glad to know that my sweet voice is radiating all across the George Washington Bridge. Good old good old GW. GW. I'm trying to think if I've driven across the George Washington Bridge. I don't think I have. I've been to New York a couple of times, but I don't think I've driven across there. Tab of the Short says, side note, I finally watched chapter 2 this morning. I liked chapter 1. I think they went over where this... Oh, you mean It. Cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, you did say It. I didn't see it. I finally watched It chapter 2 this morning. I agree. I like It chapter 1 better. I liked part 2, but it was, I'm trying to remember my issues with it because I only saw it once. Can't remember my issues with it. I think I talked about it, though. Oh, and by the way, Charles Cyphers is in this movie as well. He plays the chief or the cop or something. It's kind of strange. Carpenter likes to use the same... Well, a lot of directors do. I mean, it's like Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio, right? John Carpenter used Kurt Russell, a few times. And of course, Adrian Barbeau. I'm in the scene now. Where am I? I am 9 minutes, 45 seconds into the movie. Lauren Hutton's character is sat down, of course, opposite, or next to, I should say, Adrian Barbeau. Now, I know Adrian Barbeau and John Carpenter dated. I believe were they married or were they just dating? I don't know if they were dating here. Because this is the same time that Carpenter and Deborah Hill would have been dating, 1978. So it might have been more towards The Fog, because The Fog came out in 1980. And that of course, also had Adrian Barbeau. So maybe it was more towards then. Maybe this is the movie they met on. I don't know. All those things I don't know that I have no doubt the chat room will let me know, or someone watching after the fact will be like, let's see. Just want to go back here, make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I think we're good. Lauren Hutton, I gotta get her name. I gotta get her character's name. I can't keep calling her by her. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on this. Laura Hutton plays Lee. That's right. Lee Michaels. And Adrian Barbeau is Sophie. Charles Cyphers is Gary Hunt. So, look at these hairdos. It's like Charlie's Angels almost. But you see what I mean so far about how it's this slow burn, we're getting sort of, familiar with these characters, right? We're getting to know her backstory a bit. We know her job. We know that, we got to feel for them, right? We got to care a little bit about them. That sounded... I thought that sounded ADR'd, but I guess it wasn't. Tab of the Short says, that brunette lady looks familiar. Anybody recognize her from anything? Oh, yeah, that's Adrian Barbeau. She was in The Fog. She was, what's her, oh, God, why am I missing, Stevie Lane? Stevie, what the heck was her name in The Fog? Why am I drawing a blank? The Fog's one of my favorite Carpenter films. Anyway, she was the radio DJ in The Lighthouse in The Fog, Tabitha. That's why she looks familiar. No problem. See, this is creepy. Can you imagine? Now, again, these types of things today are like, because we've seen it. But again, in the 70s, these kinds of movies and scenarios were very creepy because this is a time when, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no call waiting or call display. I don't even think there was I don't even think in the 70s that there was the, call waiting, whatever. You hear beep, beep, and you'd hit the thing and there'd be someone on the other line. I don't even, this was very, films like Black Christmas and When a Stranger Calls and When Someone's Watching Me, utilizing the phone calls and, the creepiness and the crank calls was really a creepy big thing because of how vulnerable you were to when phone calls like that would take place. Nowadays, somebody calls you, you see it says unknown number, you don't pick up, right? I mean, how many of us actually pick up if it says unknown number? Very few of us, right? You're just like, let it go to voicemail. So when he said there, is this Lee Michaels? Yes. And then what do you say? Good or something, and then hangs up. That would have been creepy. She's handling it very well. James Carr says the thing was his second best after this. Oh, The Thing. Sorry, it wasn't capitalized. The Thing was his second best after Halloween, of course. I'd probably agree with that. I'm partial to The Fog. I like The Fog, but yeah, The Thing is really good. The Thing is really good. It was a big budget film, you see. One of his first, I believe. This is great. This is classic. Lee Michaels has now come back to her apartment building. The doors open ajar. Now pay attention to this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and it's literally nothing, but it's very Carpenter, and it's totally something I would do in shooting a movie like this. And it's so simple. So we're at the scene now where Lee has come back to the apartment. She walks and you notice that her apartment has big windows, right? Creating that real sense of voyeurism. And right through the windows, you can see the other apartment across. So there's that sense of nakedness almost. Like anywhere you walk in the apartment, you can be seen. There's, unless you close the curtains, which obviously she hasn't done yet because she doesn't feel a need to. I always think that she's handling this very well. Oh, Mr. Burglar, hello. Really? Your door's open and you just walk in? Wouldn't you be more worried? Okay. So where am I here? I'm 15 minutes, 15 seconds in. Lee Michaels has picked up the phone now, I believe, to make a phone call about the break-in. Now, watch the camera arc here. Watch how the camera is arcing around, right? Showing the room behind her. We have the curtains behind her. Now, we can see the apartment building through the curtains there over her right shoulder, our left. Your eye naturally is drawn to that apartment building out the window, isn't it? It's naturally drawn there because you know the premise of the movie. So it's drawn out there. You're looking out there. Now look, we're arcing back. Watch the open doorway. Look at that. Right there. Somebody just ran across the open doorway. You weren't expecting that because Carpenter was drawing your eye to the other side of the frame. And that was great. That was really well done. It was nothing crazy. It was nothing, it was just whoa, holy shit, there is somebody in the apartment. What the fuck is going on? But she doesn't know that because she didn't see anybody. That was really well done. Really well done. He draws your attention to the apartment building out the window because there's somebody over there. When really it's the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. You know what I mean? He's, it's almost like a magic trick. Really like that. Really like that. Jason Knight says, have you seen Christmas Chronicles? Kurt Russell's the best Santa. Yes, I did. I love the ending with when Goldie Hawn shows up in that really brief moment as Mrs. Claus. Yeah. I love Kurt Russell. Oh, God. He's one of my favorites. He's so great. Excuse me if you heard that. Just really thirsty. So now, of course, we're at the scene where Lee it's nighttime. She's sitting by she's sitting at her desk with the window open, or the curtains open, I should say. You see the apartment and the life happening outside the window, and she'd have no reason to close the curtains. I mean, all right, here's another phone call. Where am I here? There we go. We had a phone like that back in the 80s. Most of us did, right? We had rotary phones too. I love this. How she's pretending to be the answering machine. It's cute. It's funny. She thinks she's all like, Now the camera, watch the camera pan down here, which is really nice. I like this. She thinks she's got it under control. You think, as the audience member, she's got it under control. All she's got to do is just keep hanging up, fucking with him, right? But what she doesn't know, because remember, that guy was in her apartment before. As we pan down, you think, what, is this going to be like a sexual thing? We're going to her crotch? No, no, no. We're going to the bug. Look at that. The guy that was in her apartment has tapped her phone. Or, excuse me, not tapped her phone necessarily, but has put like a microphone in her, underneath her desk so he can hear everything. So he doesn't need to call her to hear her. He doesn't have to do that because he can hear her regardless. He can hear the conversation she's having in her apartment, whether she's on the phone or not. It's creepy. Really creepy. James Carr says, speaking of Kurt Russell, I think another one of Carpenter's gems is Big Trouble in Little China. Yep, I agree. Really like that movie too. Jason Knight says, I'm glad I'm here tonight too. The Star Wars reviews are too negative for me. Too negative for you. Don't pay attention to them, Jason. Don't pay attention to them. And you know what? Like, I think it's got 58% or 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, almost 60%. That essentially says that half the critics enjoyed it and the other half were like, nah, didn't really like it. And that's exactly what I expected. And when I see the movie on Friday, I'm going to have I've read all the reviews. I mean, not all the reviews, but I've read, the major reviews, both negative and positive. And there isn't one single thing that has surprised me. Not one single thing. And it doesn't have me worried in the slightest. It's exactly what I expected to happen. Exactly. It doesn't mean I'm going to like the movie, but it's exactly what I expected to happen. So I'm not worried. I'm seeing it early Friday afternoon. And then hopefully I'll have a video up on the weekend because there's a lot I want to say. Not an official review like in the, how most people do, but I'll let you know what I thought. And then I have a lot I want to say about this because it is just hilarious what's going on right now. Just hilarious. It's like so fucking ridiculous. This movie was going to get poor reviews regardless. Let's just put it that way. Or mixed reviews, I should say. Because it's not poor reviews. They're mixed reviews. That's what they are. They're mixed reviews. Poor reviews would be if it had a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Poor reviews would be if it had a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. 58 or essentially almost 60%. That's, come on. It's okay. Now, I understand it's a Star Wars movie, though, Dave. That's like a 2%. Well, but hey, there's reasons for it. There's reasons for it. We'll get into it. I'm excited to see it because I think I'm going to like it. It's going to be way better than the shit that is Last Jedi. Frank Reiger says, this movie could still work today, even with our cell phones. It could. Yeah, it could. It'd be more difficult because people are more people are apprehensive to pick up their phones when they don't know what the number is. And a lot of people are not talking on phones anymore. I mean, we do, but I always say, this is not a phone. Like, they're not phones. They're pocket computers that can make phone calls. That's what they are. It's actually, it's not a phone. I mean, it is, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not. Because we're online emails, texting, WhatsApping, Facebooking, tweeting, Instagramming way more than we're ever making phone calls and going, hey, Bill, what's going on? That's hardly ever. That's once in a blue moon. They're pocket computers that make phone calls. That's how I see it anyway. They should be called smart computers, but of course that would never sell. I like this. I like how the lights dim there. It's kind of like, that's strange. What the fuck is going on there? So I'm 22 minutes, 30 seconds into the movie. But you're right in the sense that the premise could still work today, Frank. You'd have to make some adjustments to modernize it to make it believable. but it certainly could. Frank Riker says, I could just imagine a stalker hijacking somebody's contact list and made their friend's name. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Like, you modernize it, you update it, or you write a story and you have the characters in a position where they can't use cell phones. They have to use an older phone or something like that. That's how we've approached It's Me, Billy. I can't tell you anything more than that at the moment, but we were very much aware of that obstacle. Like, how do we do this and make it believable? Is that the scene here where Lee is in the restaurant and having a cigarette? Ah, pretty lady. Who says that? Does people actually say that? Hi, pretty lady. So lame. James Carr says, Dave, you had to have grown up in that era to understand it remotely. I try to explain to my kids what life was like back then, and they just laugh. Oh, what are we talking about, James? You mean in terms of the phones and stuff? Sorry, James, I missed your thing there. Jim Dorsey's here. Hey, Jim. Hey, everyone. I'm glad Dave's live tonight. I need to get away from the Star Wars reviews. It's clouding my brain. Like I was just saying to Jason Nike, Jim, don't worry about it. It's okay, Why is it that it's so funny, isn't it, right? If it's a movie, I'm not saying you guys, right? But if it's a movie people want to fail, if they see if they see what looks like mixed reviews or a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes, it's, you see, I told you so. But if the Joker had got a rotten score, we're like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's groupthink, right? It's confirmation. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's just so ridiculous, I just find it incredibly ironic. I'll have a lot to say on it in my video, but I'm not worried. I mean, do we always want, but let's not remember The Last Jedi has 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. Just remember that. Now, maybe you like The Last Jedi, but there's a good portion of people in this chat room right now that probably didn't. So just remember that. Judge it for yourself. They're just one person's opinion. And remember too that how Rotten Tomatoes works is they take an average, right? It's not, like they take an average and they weigh it and then you get a percentage. It's not, like I believe in order to get a fresh rating, like if you give something a 2.5 out of 4, that might give you a rotten rating. Like if I was a reviewer and I said that movie's a 2.5 out of 4, or a 2.5 out of 5 or something, that would give it a rotten rating. But that's half. That's like, there's some stuff I liked, some stuff I didn't. Anyways, I got to look it up again, but it's Rotten Tomatoes. People put way too much stock in it. There's people on Rotten Tomatoes that have no business being on Rotten Tomatoes. Billy Bob's Movie Blitz. Like, how the fuck did they get on there? And then you read their headline. It's like, this movie's a dumpster fire. Like, how am I supposed to take you seriously? When you lead with that, it's just, I'm not worried, Jim. I'm excited. Doesn't mean we're going to like it, but the Rotten Tomatoes score and all the backlash is actually a reflection of The Last Jedi. J.J. Abrams really, at the end of the day, had the impossible to do. And again, like I said a few moments ago, I've read a lot of the reviews, both positive and negative, watched a lot of the videos, both positive and negative, and there isn't anything that anybody is saying that surprises me. Nothing. I haven't heard one thing where I'm like, oh, nothing. On both sides. Nothing. Literally nothing. It's exactly what I expected to happen. Remember what I said months ago? I said, if we could go into the movie, don't expect this to be, wah, because it ain't going to be. It's not going to be. We just need it to be pretty good. That's it. Just good. Good. Right? And what is good? What? 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, right? and then we've escaped a disaster. Those people saying that it's a disaster, no, Last Jedi is a disaster. It's not a disaster. Those are people that, once again, needed specific things to happen that probably did not happen. But anyway, I will talk more about it because I have a lot I want to say in terms of the structure and what everybody is saying about the pacing and everything that's in the movie and how it feels like it's two movies in one and all. I have a lot I want to say on that, but I need to see the movie first. Let's see here. James Carr says, oh, he's talking to Frank. Okay, cool. Frank says, hey guys, remember half of those reviews are probably from people who haven't even seen it yet. Well, the Rotten Tomatoes one, probably not, but there are people tweeting that haven't seen the movie yet, right? I mean, don't forget, there are critics as well that have a vested interest in seeing this movie fail. They do. They can't go back to their viewers and say they like the movie. They can't. Even if they did, they can't. There's too much stock into it, right? So just keep that in mind. This movie was never going to be it can't. But again, I gotta calm down and save because there's so much I need to say. Because the hypocritical irony is hilarious. Jim Dorsey says there's no way it's worse than TLJ. Exactly. It's not. It's not. It's not worse than TLJ. Now, if you loved The Last Jedi, yeah, you're probably not going to like The Rise of Skywalker. But I have a feeling, based on everything I'm hearing, I'm going to walk out of the movie. And you guys remember when I said this? I'm going to walk out of the movie going, okay, all right, it's fine. Yep, that was cool. Okay, that's it. And if I walk out, well, that's icing on the cake, you know? And there are a lot of people saying, yeah, I felt it was okay. You know, I was satisfied. I was like, yep, because that's all he could do. So I'm at the scene now where, where are we here? We are 30 minutes into the movie. And Lee Michaels, of course, there's just a lot of exposition there, which is why I was sort of letting it kind of play out. She was talking to her, I guess her on-again, off-again boyfriend or something, who's come to see her. He disappeared in the parking lot somewhere. We're fading to black. That's probably where a commercial would have. Totally where a commercial would have. Absolutely where a commercial would have been. It's perfect for it. And shot of the Los Angeles skyline. Of course, Los Angeles, for those of you that have been to LA recently, the skyline doesn't look like that anymore. It's grown a lot. There's a lot of new buildings. Excuse me. So she's coming back into her apartment. She's got a package. She's like, what the hell is this? So strange. James Carr says, TLJ divided so much of the fan base that no matter what JJ puts on the screen, it's going to be 50. Yes, exactly. Exactly, James. 100%, man. 100%. Again, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be people that genuinely don't like what they see. Of course. But, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the climate of the fandom and think that the next movie is going to have a chance of pleasing, 90% of the critics and 90% of the fans. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And there's specific reasons, which I'm going to get into. I'm going to break it down for you guys. It'll be another one of my long videos, but whatever. Phone's ringing again. Just going over to the phone. He said, present number 1. Yeah. I don't think I would have directed him to sound like that. I think I would just had him sound normal. Just more like, present number 1. Or present number 1. I don't know. He sounded just a little like he was, it's not a big deal. I'm just a voice actor. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I would have had him do that. Present number 1. That's funny. So Lee Michaels is sitting down to open this present that clearly was given to her by the intruder. or the guy that the peeping Tom. Peeping Tom. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker is sitting at 58% on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. The general consensus is The Rise of Skywalker suffers from a frustrating lack of imagination, according to some people, but concludes this beloved saga with fan-focused devotion. Great. Perfect. I'm down. Let's do it. As George Lucas once said, it's only a movie. It's a telescope. Oh, that's right. It's a telescope. He's given her a telescope. See, people like that. It's so interesting because he wants to be seen. He gave her a telescope because he likes the idea of her looking back at him. Of course, there's the whole, she's got to find out who it is as well. I mean, if she was to point that out the window, she'd have to find out who it is. But I like that. It's almost like, that's ballsy. Doesn't that phone sound effect sound like exactly like the one from Halloween? Just checking to see if your air conditioning is still working. Ooh, imagine getting a phone call like that at like 2 a.m. or something. Yeah, you know what? Like, some of the more positive reviews I've heard are that the Rise of Skywalker are like it is a non-stop big spectacle action with wild lightsaber battles, and it's just like, whoa, and it can be a little convoluted at times. So you got it, like the pace is really fast. You got to really pay attention. It's one of those movies that you're going to have to, if you enjoy it, you're probably going to want to see a couple of times because the scope is so large and a lot of fan service. And I'm like, great, I'm down. Let's do it. Like, what else are you going to fucking do at this point? Do you know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, the shit that just came from, like, like, what do you expect, guys? Of course. Sorry to bother you, Miss Michaels. I don't think that guy is actually saying that. That sounds like ADR to me. Yeah, I don't believe that old guy was actually the voice to. I don't believe that was his voice. The bellhop, or the doorman there, when you show up in the door and gave him the, didn't. It would not surprise me if that wasn't his voice. It just sounded ADR'd, and you notice that we never saw him speaking. We zoomed up on the present as he was speaking, and then we showed her, and then back to him, and as he was saying goodbye, he was putting on his hat. Yeah, I'd actually put money on it. I'd feel comfortable. Not a lot of money. I wouldn't put a lot of money on it because I guess you never know, but. Now, again, I mean, you got to keep the perspective, right? I mean, watching a movie like this today, it's not, again, it's not a horror movie. It's just a creepy sort of, little Sunday night creepy movie or whatever, right? But it's 1978. This is kind of stuff's not so creepy anymore necessarily, depending on the execution. But back then, I mean, getting phone calls like that would have been terrifying. Because you would have been so vulnerable, like I said. Frank says it's got to be better than Attack of the Clones. Okay, it's my last Star Wars comment. That's okay, guys. I get it. It's a hot topic right now. It was just released. The world premiere goes live for everybody around the world tomorrow, essentially. But this thing was doomed from the... I actually think... If you were to look at it objectively, I actually think it's probably a pretty good movie. But there's a lot of things people are going to tear apart because, it's Star Wars. That's what the Star Wars fans do. Yeah, you should be sorry. This nice man is... Ooh. So where am I here? I am 37 minutes and 50 seconds into the movie. Lee is now showing her boyfriend, I guess, the letters and the gifts. A lot of fucking creepy people out there, man. The underwear thing reminds me of that Canadian Russell Williams. Jason Knight will know who I'm talking about because he's Canadian. But the Air Force guy, the high-ranking Air Force official, about 10 years, was it 10 years ago? Something like that. He was a serial murderer and rapist, and he was like a high-ranking Canadian Air Force like official. He's in jail now for the rest of his life, but that was creepy shit. And there were like photos of him in women's underwear and brutal shit. Thank God they caught him. James Carr says, I wonder how different things would have been if JJ would have directed. I agree. That's one of the things I see. Oh, it would have been totally different. And I don't think the Emperor would have come back. I don't think the Emperor would have come back. But we'll talk more about that on Saturday. I'm planning on doing the video Saturday. I got Thorazine in the morning for level 3 patrons. And we'll see. I want to do it. But I also might be seeing it again Sunday with my buddy Bruce. I'm not sure yet, though. But I definitely want to get my first impressions up. You'll get a tweet from me Friday afternoon at some point. Maybe something in the community section as well here. Sort of a general consensus what I thought. The phone is a-ringing. The phone is a-ringing. Jason Ike says, I remember and I will never forget that Bernardo came. Oh, Paul Bernardo, yeah, like in the early 90s. That's another Canadian. That was a horrible one, too. See what I mean, though, guys? It's a slow burn. It's not like Halloween. It doesn't have the music or the creepy lurking shots. It's a voyeurism film, essentially, but the premise is eerie. Like, imagine, I don't rank it up there like with Black Christmas or anything like that, or even, although I might like it. You know what? Although that first 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls is mint. That's some great shit. I really love the first 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls. And then the middle of When a Stranger Calls, it's okay. And then the last 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls or whatever is really good. I might like this movie as a whole a bit better When a Stranger Calls. The original When a Stranger Calls from 1979. I actually, you know what? There was the remake. Well, there was the TV movie When a Stranger Calls Back, which was pretty good. And then there was the remake in 2006, I believe, When a Stranger Calls. I actually didn't mind that movie because it essentially took the first 20 minutes of the original When a Stranger Calls and just made that an entire feature-length film. And I actually didn't mind it, from what I remember. But I wouldn't necessarily put this movie up there with those films. But it's, it's a Carpenter movie, right? It's one you got to see. If you're a John Carpenter fan, it's one you got to see. Like, I still have to see his Elvis movie. I believe that was a TV movie, and where Kurt Russell played Elvis. I would love to see that. I still got to see that. Yeah. See, that was ADR'd. That little line there. Sorry, I don't know where you guys are. They're Adrienne Barbeau, her character Sophie, and Lee are having dinner, I guess, at this little checkered table. And there was a line that Lee said that was totally ADR'd. ADR just means it was recorded in post and added in afterwards. James Carr says, that was creepy as hell when the guy painted himself to match the wall and a stranger calls back. Yes! Fuck, I forgot about that. You're right. That was because at first you don't see it. You know, it's like, but at the same time, how the hell would you... If you think about it, like, how are you doing that? Like, what the hell's going on? How did you take the time to actually do that? I forgot. I should, you know what? I should do that one as well. When a stranger calls back. We should do that here. Maybe do a Patreon thing for that too. Frank Riker says, I actually think it would be pretty easy to stalk somebody considering that we are more obsessed with our phones than our surroundings. Well, it would be easy to stalk somebody, but it's also at the same time much easier to get caught. And that's sort of wherein lies the conundrum, right? Oh, it is. I mean, it's much easier to get people's information and their email addresses or their phone numbers or their Facebooks, Twitters, whatever, and find out information about them. And if you really study the individual's photos, you can know about their life, you can know about, all that kind of stuff, right? But at the same time, it's also easier to track people down, and know their locations and cell phone towers and pings off cell phone towers and tracers and, so. Whereas way back then, it was very difficult to know who these people were. I like this line. What do you look like? Just a man. I like that. That's nice. I like that. It's just like, just a man. Now, if this was reality, you as a young woman would probably say something like, well, no, I figured that, but what did he look? Was he tall, short, fat, skinny, bald hair? You know what I mean? Like you totally asked that, right? But just to leave it there, just a man is nice dramatic, a nice dramatic moment for the movie. Creates a little bit of tension and mystery. There's that Halloween phone ring again. Who are you? Have you started to enjoy the view? It's Emperor Palpatine. Starts coughing. That'd be funny. Yeah. You go see The Rise of Skywalker. He's like, I know. Sorry. I think this is Charles Cyphers on the other line, I think. Oh, maybe not. Charles Cyphers is in this movie. He plays a cop again. Maybe Charles Cyphers is Lee Brackett in this movie, but he's moved from Haddonfield to Los Angeles to get away from what happened. Obviously not. But this would have been shot probably after Halloween. He shot Halloween in the spring. Now, not 100% sure on that. I love how the lights keep dimming. It's eerie. And now, of course, she's starting to sort of get frustrated. Yeah, he shot Halloween in the spring of 1978. He maybe shot this in the summer, maybe? Not sure. It's a very 70s TV moment. This was... Oh, okay. According to Wikipedia here, it says this movie was originally called High Rise. Carpenter was hired by Warner Brothers in 1976 to write a feature script based on a true story about a woman in Chicago. Very fascinating. You can go to the Wikipedia page and read all about it. There's actually quite a bit of information there. Okay, no, wait a minute. No, he would have shot this... NBC promoted Someone's Watching Me as Tales of the Unexpected Special implying that the film was related to the 1977 NBC television series. Okay, I see. Carpenter says that 2 weeks later, he started filming Halloween, and many of the techniques in Halloween... Okay. Very cool. All right. I did not know this. Of course, the chat room watching after the fact, it was before, will probably say that. Hey, I'm getting to that. Carpenter says that 2 weeks... now, again, this is according to Wikipedia, but there is a link. So if the link is good, what's the link? Oh, it's an interview with John Carpenter on YouTube. Okay, there you go. Carpenter says that 2 weeks later, he started filming Halloween, and many of the techniques in Halloween he devised on Someone's Watching Me. Carpenter later said he was very proud of the film, even though it was not one of his better-known works. I like it. It's a slow burn. It's a little slow, but it's creepy, relative to its time period, obviously. The film was shot in 18 days. I had some control over it, said Carpenter. I was able to shoot only what I wanted. I wouldn't cover it. I just gave them what I wanted, and it got okayed. I thought it was a really, really good idea, said Carpenter, so I had my first experience with television and my first union experience. I got into the Directors Guild through that. I had a real good time on it. I have to tell you, I met my wife. Well, that would have been Adrian Barbeau then. There you go. He met his wife on the set of Someone's Watching Me. Very cool. Very cool. I should have read this before I started watching the movie. Because I've seen this movie, but I was unaware of those little details. That's awesome. I will not forget that now. It's being cataloged into the brain of Dave McRae. Very cool. What's going on in the chat here? Let's see here. Frank Riker says, I actually think it would be pretty easy to talk to somebody considering that we are more obsessed with our phones than our... Oh, right. It was shot after Halloween. James Carr says, yes, I just got to that. Could have sworn I read an article that this was shot after Halloween. You are right. You're right. Oh, there's no doubt... Oh, no, sorry. Yes, no, it was shot before. At least according to Wikipedia, unless I read that wrong. You would have thought it would have been shot after. Let me just see here. Let me go back to... Oh, did I get rid of it? No, I didn't. Yeah, he says that 2 weeks later he started filming Halloween and many of the techniques. So he, maybe this was, yeah. That's what it says. But I'm open to being corrected by anybody watching after the fact. Where are we here? Where's my movie? There we are. But you can definitely see the Halloweenish things in this movie. Not overtly. I mean, not like, all over the place, but there's just little techniques, little things that he expanded on or, nurtured and developed a little more when it came to Halloween because of the kind of movie it was. I mean, this is a very different movie than Halloween. So obviously he's not going to be, applying the exact same techniques maybe to the degree that he would in Halloween, but nonetheless. So I'm 51 minutes, 51 seconds into the movie where Lee Michaels is now getting into, she's lifted the grate off the ground in the laundry room, I believe, and she's trying to get in there to hide from somebody who's about to come in. Frank Greger says, Dave, would you ever want to see some of the old commercials that were playing during this movie and reminisce the days of old? Yeah, for sure. You know what? Sometimes my girlfriend and I will lie in bed and we'll watch old commercials on YouTube, like from this, going back even to the 50s. But we'll watch old commercials from the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's fun. So at the scene here now where Lee Michaels is in the ground with the grate, she's looking up and there's a man Whether he's the guy or not, whether he's somebody we need to pay attention to or not, is not yet to be seen. But he's standing on the grate, he's smoking, he drops the cigarette down through the grate and it lands on her. That's a great shot. I love that shot where you just have that lighting on one side of her face and just her eye looking up through the grate. Really like that. Really nice. Really, really nice. Jason Knight says, Carpenter said he would have loved to tackle Dracula. Could you imagine that atmosphere? Dracula. Yeah, that would have been interesting. Yeah, if he played it like full on dead serious, no pun on the dead. Yeah, that might have been interesting. Would have been down for that. Somebody asked me the other day, or maybe it was one of you guys, do I think Carpenter will ever do another... Oh, hang on a sec. I love this. Following her down this hallway. I just love that. It was like, yeah, I just love that shot. Really creepy. Oh, there's a letter on her door now. 4320 is the number of her door. It says 11:30, we must have just missed each other. Must leave. We'll contact you later. So definitely they're playing that insidious sort of, burn, right? Where things are slowly but surely progressively getting a little more intense and a little more intense, And I think they want you to believe in some sort of way that her boyfriend here could be the guy. They want you to sort of think that there's a possibility there. Even though it's not. Or is it? No. Now you notice this shot. Yeah, obviously it's not, because we see the guy looking through the thing. But I should have said, when we're first introduced to him, they want you to kind of think that maybe there's something. Oh, they're going off into the bedroom to do the deed. Now you would think at this point. Now see, I will say this. You would think at this point, although maybe she's unaware that somebody's watching her through the windows. But you would think at this point that she would draw the curtains. Especially when she's about to have sex with her boyfriend, right? You would think that she would draw the curtains. I can't remember if it was established yet whether it was absolutely somebody was watching her, but anyway, maybe they're voyeurists. Woo! Just going back here and see if I missed anything. Ba-dum-bum-bum. I think we're good. I should grow my hair out like that. Big curly hair all down like this. If I let my hair grow out, it is kind of curly like that a little bit. And then it gets a mind of its own. It's like all over the place. I hate curly hair. I actually wish my hair was straighter because it's easier to manage. When you get curly hair, it looks good. And then it gets to a point where it just starts to have this, like a chia pet or something. Jason Knight says, Dave, as a Canadian, who are some of your favorite Canadian actors? I personally love Kiefer Sutherland. I love 24. That's a good question, Jason. Well, I mean, God, go down the list. Ryan Reynolds is, I wouldn't say Ryan Reynolds is a favorite actor, but he's certainly funny, and I enjoy watching his movies. He's Canadian. I think my all-time favorite Canadian actor would probably be a toss between John Candy and Michael J. Fox. I mean, just two classic actors. I love this. That was creepy, how they were following her handheld. It was POV, and then it was kind of through her point of view, but then like we'd cut back to her, and just it was a little. Oh, that's it. That's the signal right there. I like you better without the robe. Take it off. Right. That's when she notices she's being watched. Right. And we're right. Okay. Sorry. That's it. Right. Totally forgot about that line. That's right. Because you would think up to that point, aren't you closing your curtains? That's it. That's the line. And then it fades to black. Total commercial break. There would have been a commercial break there. Blake Tower. So I believe now they've gone over to the other tower to see, like, what the hell's going on, right? Maybe they can find somebody. But I love the way she turns around there too and drops the phone. And there's that. I love that. Old school classic. Love shit like that. But yes, John Candy and Michael J. Fox would probably be my favorite Canadian actors, then probably followed by Jim Carrey, but I mean, go down the list. I mean, oh God, I mean, who are William Shatner, Jim Carrey, John Candy, Michael J. Fox, Ryan Reynolds, Dan Aykroyd, Steve, Martin Short, Eugene Levy, oh God, there's so many. I mean, Jesus, why am I drawing a blank? Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams, Jay Baruchel, Sandra Oh, Christopher Plummer, Keanu Reeves, Ellen Page, Will Arnett, Martin Short. I think I said that. Anna Paquin. Howie Mandel. Yeah, Howie Mandel doesn't. Nev Campbell. Leslie Nielsen. Rick Moranis. Carrie Ann Moss. God, Matthew Perry. I mean, just go. There's so many of us. Tommy Chong, excuse me. Yeah, there's so many of us. Canadians. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. John Candy's awesome too. I love this, how they're trying to figure out who he is. Who wants to know their own rapist? What a line. You could never say that now. So I'm an hour into the movie, and Adrienne Barbeau and her character of Sophie, I think, and Lee Michaels and her boyfriend, they're at the apartment trying to figure out who this guy is that is watching them from across the apartment building. Yeah, I think that voice is ADR'd. For those of you that are watching, do you think that doorman, he sounded like it was dubbed in, sounded like that to me? You know what? It might be his real voice. I mean, to be fair, that might be his voice, but for whatever reason, they're like, Frank, I don't know if his name's Frank, but Frank, you need to come in. We need you to read your lines, and we're going to match it up because something fucked up with the audio or something, right? When they were shooting on set. It could actually be the actual actor's voice, but I just don't think that was recorded while actually there. It just I know my ADR, and that just sounded, because I've done ADR, so it just sounded a little dubbed in. Hey, Charles Cyphers! But I could be wrong. There he is. Lee Brackett, folks! How about First Degree scaring hell out of? Look at Charles Cypher's slicked hair. That's some slicked hair there, folks. I wish I had hair like that. Tabitha Short says, "Is this Charles Cypher's only scene?" No, I think he's got a few more scenes throughout the rest of the movie. It's great that you're still here, Tabitha. Awesome. How's Austin, Tabitha? Is he doing well? Is he growing like a weed, as they say? He's got to be growing so fast. I mean, yeah. I assume he's getting big now. I'm sorry. There's nothing I could do. I mean, even this version of Charles Cypher's police guy is skeptical. He can't do anything. You need a Dr. Loomis in this movie to convince him. Well, Jason Knight says, I actually just watched Little Shop of Horrors. I haven't seen that in years. I got to watch that again. I love John Candy. Miss him so much. Yeah, I miss him too, man. He was only 44 when he died? He died in March. I remember this because I was almost 15 because I would have turned 15 in May of 94. So I remember. So he was only 43 or 44. So sad. So sad. Frank Riker says, Dave McRae is a pretty good actor. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Oh, wait, she's picking up the phone. It's 11:45. Out late tonight? Ooh, I want to see you. For those of you that are not watching, he's like, I want to see you. And she's like, who are you? Look through the telescope. Go ahead, look for me. Now she's being called over by her friends. It's a guy with a telescope. Yeah, I think this is I don't think that's him. They think it's him. So they're gonna call the police, he's gonna get arrested and stuff. But I don't think it's him. Of course, I forget this actor's name. The guy that's about to get arrested, but probably is the wrong guy. He's like one of those character actors that you see a lot. Jason says, I'm 40 myself. I'm in the 79 club. I'll rock on. 79 club. 79 right there, buddy. And you already know it's not him. Like, as an audience member, you know it's not him because if you paid attention to what the guy actually looked like, now we're not seeing a lot of him, but if you paid attention to his eyes and sort of his forehead a bit, you know that this isn't the guy. Now, obviously the characters don't know that, but we as an audience are like, no, I don't think so. See, and Charles Cyphers is obviously saying things like certain little things that match up to, yeah, it sounds like this could be the guy. Where's that actor from? I mean, he's a character actor that has been in a ton of shit, but there's something, there's something. Thank you, Jacqueline McEwen. You can't, yes, Uncle Leo from Seinfeld. Yes, Jacqueline, you rock. That's right. I'm not, because in my mind, I'm like, I've seen him in a ton of stuff, but there's one thing that really stands out. I couldn't put my finger on it. Uncle Leo. That's right. I love Seinfeld. Yes. Yeah, he's one of those guys that's been in those, he's got those faces where you're like, where do I know? And Len Lesser. Yes, that's right. I think he's dead now, isn't he? I think he is. Los Angeles. Hey, there's the Westin Bonaventure Hotel. There's a shot of the skyline, and there's a hotel there. Actually, you see it a few times in this movie. There's a hotel downtown LA where I've stayed called the Westin Bonaventure. It appears actually in the movie True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, are we okay for, I think we're okay. Yeah. For some reason, it looks like I'm recording in like 320p for some reason. Oh no, there we go. I'm good. Don't know what happened there. Anyways, it's the same movie that appears, the same hotel that is in True Lies. The one where Arnold is on the horse and he goes to the lobby of the hotel or something. And he's in like the elevator and you can see the bad guy in the other elevators. They're both going up the side. I've stayed there. It's a really nice hotel. And it's in this movie a lot. It's a very distinct looking hotel. See, there's Charles Cyphers again. Look at that chest hair. Woo! Aren't you glad men don't dress like that anymore? What would you guys do? What would you guys do if there I am, sitting here with a Hawaiian shirt open, chest hair all over the place. What's going on? Hey, folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Oh, man, that'd be funny. I love that shot. They've gone back to it a couple of times, an establishing shot of her apartment building, that really low angle shot to give this apartment building just this larger than life sort of scale, and almost even though it's her, see, this is what's kind of cool about that shot. Even though her apartment building, that's not where the bad guy is per se, right? He's in the other apartment building. When they go to her, her apartment building still has this ominous feel to it. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting. Even though that's not where the bad guy is, where he's stationed per se. I don't think, anyway. God, hopefully I haven't said something incorrect. Haven't seen this movie in a while. But if I have said something incorrect, the chat will let me know. Jason Knight says, have you ever considered doing a video of the 80s and its films, horror, action? Yes, I have considered that. There are videos on my channel where I talk about the best, like my favorite psych movies, my favorite horror movies or whatever. I think they're on my channel. I don't know if I've done specific 80s though. Can't remember. He wasn't the one. Commercial break. Would have been a good spot for it again. Nice spot for another commercial break. I think if I was directing this movie and writing this movie, if I could get away with it, I actually would not have even shown the killer's eyes at all. At all. Because I know there's a couple of scenes where you just kind of see that a bit. You kind of get his forehead and a little bit of his cheek and his eye. I wouldn't have even shown that. Nope. I would have just had him a voice on the phone and maybe seeing his eye through the lens of the telescope, which is a very interesting sort of optical effect that they would have done in post. But that would have been really interesting. Like his eye would have been sort of distorted a bit. And it's his eye. Like it's the killer's eye. But it's weird because it's almost like you're looking through the other side of the telescope through the lens. That would have been cool. Is there a shot like that in this movie? I don't remember seeing it. Maybe there is. But that's all I would have done. Until the very end, of course. And then maybe not even done that. So Leah's taking matters into her own hand, much to the chagrin of Adrienne Barbeau's character. She's got a little knife on her. And she's going over there. Fuck this shit, man. Fuck this shit. Oh, fuck. And I'm assuming, I think Adrienne, Sophie is watching. Sophie, right? Is that the right? I think that's the name. Make sure that's her character's name. Sophie, yeah. It's funny how Lauren Hutton is Lee, David Burney is Paul, Gary Hunt. Carpenter likes to use a lot of the same names. Hunt, of course, from Halloween 2. Paul, Lee. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, is he in the penthouse? Is he in the penthouse? Jason Knight says, Dave, it was a good game last night with the Leafs and Sabres. You guys almost came back. Ah, the Sabres. You know, funny enough, because they had such an awesome start to the year, and over the last month or so, they've kind of had almost the opposite effect. They're still kind of in the race. Like, they're only like, you know, like what separates every team in our division is like, it's only a few points. Like the Sabres win two games in a row and suddenly they leapfrog the Leafs, or if the Leafs win a couple of games, they leapfrog the Sabres. Like it's a very kind of tight race. So funny enough, even though the Sabres have went on like, what was it, like an 8-game losing streak or something there a month ago? Because they had such a great start, they're still in it. Thank God. Yeah, it's a tight race. It is, which is good because it makes things more fun and interesting, right? There's nothing worse than your team. Well, I guess if your favorite team is in the lead by a long shot, that's always fun. But there's nothing worse than having your team like so far out of it so early. That sucks. Two Canadians talking hockey, folks. And I like the Leafs. I mean, you can't live in, Toronto not like the Leafs, but when they play Buffalo, that's it. It's just, I hope they die. I actually would love to see the Leafs win the cup. I think that would be great. Be great for hockey, be great for Toronto, be great for sports. But I want my Sabres to win. They've never won it. They've been in it twice, 1975, I think, against the Flyers, and 1999 against the Stars, but they've never won it. So we are an hour and 14 minutes into the movie, and Lee Michaels is presumably, we assume, in the apartment where this guy has been watching her from, and Adrienne Barbeau's character Sophie is watching from Lee's apartment in the other place. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. I forgot about that. Look at that. So Lee is watching, for those of you that are not, she's watching Sophie's character in her apartment back in the other place being attacked with the lights off through silhouette in front of the window through the telescope, and the killer is remaining in silhouette behind the curtains. It was just a great shot. Really nice, really classy and classically done. Now she's back in her apartment. The lights are all on, but Sophie is nowhere to be found. That's some great stuff. That's some old school, like really, really nice. I like it. Charles Cyphers is almost like the Columbo in this movie. Just one more thing, ma'am. Frank Riker says, Jason Knight says, I'm just glad you're not a Bruins fan. No, I'm not a Bruins fan. You know what? I was happy when they won the cup, though, because it's always nice to see, like, when original six teams win. Like, I loved it when Chicago won. I was like, oh, that's awesome. It's always nice to see the original six win. But of course, I like the Sabres and the Leafs weren't in it, right? So it's like, who cares? Now that the Blackhawks and the Bruins have won the cup a couple of times, they've got it off. Now it's like, okay, come on, Toronto. Come on, Buffalo. Like, I love that the Blues won the cup. I was like, oh, yes. Because they'd never won it before. It was somebody new. It was awesome. I was so thrilled. Frank Riker says, Dave, you should really do the Hawaiian shirt thing and a Magnum P.I. I should grow a mustache. Well, I have a mustache, I guess, but it's not really, well, you know what I mean. I should shave this off and just have a big, thick, rich Magnum P.I. Tom Selleck mustache. Or a Lando Calrissian mustache. Hello, what have we here? See, he's so skeptical. Interesting. Why would... I can't remember. I literally can't remember the ending of this movie. It's like I'm watching it for the first time. Only in your... Just making sure my levels on my mic were okay. Oh, he exists all right. Jason Nike says, I can't wait to see Lando in Rise of Skywalker. I can't either. From what I've been reading, his role isn't huge, which is expected. I mean, he's 82. He walks with a cane. Obviously, he's not going to be, neck deep in the action. So it's not, as far as I know, it's not a huge role, but that's okay. It's just going to be cool to see him, right? See him say a couple of lines, flying the Falcon. That's it. That's all I need. That's all I need. Oh, wait a minute. Was she in her own... Wait, I'm confused now. No one... Oh, that's cool. She just walked into her bathroom. I think it's her bathroom. And in the steam on the mirror, it says... Or is it the steam? Or is it written in shaving cream or something? It's weird that there's only steam for that, but the rest of the mirror is clean. That's weird. Anyway, it says, no one believes you. Yeah, it looks like soap, maybe. Soapy steam or something. I thought she was already in her apartment talking to the... I'm a little confused, and I don't want to stop it because I don't like to do that. Anyway, I'll figure it out later. You left the shower on, Lee. Oh, she just fainted. And the entire fucking... Oh, the entire desk fell over on her. And when it happened, the microphone that was placed there at the very beginning of the movie lodged free, and now she's looking at it. It's like, that's how he's been able to hear me all the time. I've been bugged. I like that shot. Every shot so calculated. Frank Greger says, Dave, I already read that. Is she in her own apartment? I think she's in her own apartment building going down. I think. Oh, she's in the elevator. The elevator has just stopped, for those of you that are not watching along. She's panicking, trying to get out, trying to stop the alarm. That's cool. I like that. See, that's another thing you could do in an apartment building in an elevator, right? Which they've done like ad nauseum in high-rise type movies. But with a Michael Myers Halloween kind of movie, I think it would be cool to see a Halloween Michael Myers movie on Halloween, of course, but there's a freak snowstorm because, hey, when you live in the Midwest or you live here in Toronto or New York or when you live in a four-seasoned part of the country or continent, you can get snow on Halloween. Now, it's very, very rare. And if it does snow in October and there's a little bit of snow on the ground, it doesn't usually stay. Like it'll melt in the next day or something. But I think it would be cool to have a Halloween movie where there's like a freak storm on Halloween. That would be cool. Think of the blood on the snow. Jason Nike says, Dave, where's the OG Black Christmas house? You know where Casa Loma is? It's up in that area. So it's not right beside it, but it's up that way. I forget the name of the exact street, but it's up that way. And Sophie apparently is missing. I like the response of Cypher's character when he's like, listen, nothing's going on, whatever, right? Because it makes you think that, is everybody in on this? Like, is there a conspiracy going on here, right? Like, I don't know how that would transpire, but or how that would sort of be explained. Like everybody's, but it kind of feels like that a little bit. That's right. Or are you in some weird, twisted fucking way in on it, Paul? I think that's Paul. Interesting. I like that. So they're starting to piece things together here about, yeah. Well, if you're watching along, you know. Frank Reicher says the death behind the current reminds me sorry, where are we here? Oh, that message was removed. Oh, okay. No problem, Frank. You're allowed to remove your message. Mustaches were big in the 70s and 80s. The silhouette kill reminds me of when Michael killed Bud in Halloween 2. Oh, yeah, in this movie yeah, that's true. And even though Rosenthal Carpenter didn't direct Halloween 2, of course he was a writer and a producer. Herbert Stiles. Fascinating. But you're right, Frank. Yeah, it does. It was an awesome kill. I forgot all about that. Like, I love the idea of watching that through the lens of the telescope in the other apartment, seeing. That was cool. It was really cool. For those of you that are watching along, it was pretty cool. Again, the movie's a slow burn. It's not a horror movie like Halloween or Black Christmas or anything like. Well, Black Christmas is a slow burn too, but this is, again, it was made for TV, right? So and it's 1978. There's only so much they can do for television. There's only so much, frightening they can get for TV in 1978. But I always liked it because it's just a creepy, cool little, like I said, it's like watching an episode, a 90-minute episode of Murder, She Wrote. It's just kind of fun. Murder, She Wrote. Like dating myself here. I used to watch Murder, She Wrote with my mom, so I think that's why I said that. It was fun. Some pretty cool little episodes, too. I'm not going to lie. Some kind of cool little creepy episodes of Murder, She Wrote. Just saying. Jason Dyke says, I can't wait for what Vince does with Never Hike in the Snow. Yeah, it's going to be cool. Yeah, I can't wait either. I think he's shooting that before we go to camera for Dylan's New Nightmare. Like, I think he's shooting that in February, maybe? I don't want to speak for him. Like, we're not going to go to camera for Dylan's New Nightmare probably till March or April, the earliest. And, of course, by that time, well, depending on where he shoots, there's not going to be too much snow. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do. He made his budget and then some. He raised, which is the appropriate thing to say. He raised about 100,000 Canadian, which ended up being about 75, close to 80,000 US, which is great. But you know what? People loved Never Hike Alone. That's the only obstacle I think that Bruce and I face, is that we don't have anything of to show, to say, see, look, you know what I mean? We are going to shoot a little teaser for It's Me, Billy, but it's not going to be like the Dylan's New Nightmare teaser, but it will be good and high production value, and hopefully we'll be able to raise our budget because we're really excited about this. But yeah, I mean, he raised what he was able to do it. So he's going to be able to deliver and then some. No, I'm all done my water. Jason Dyke says, you already have my money, Dave. Oh, I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, our Indiegogo campaign for It's Me, Billy won't launch probably till the spring because we're in the middle of, finalizing all that shit now and stuff and getting the perks and all that. But hopefully we'll be able to raise our, again, I don't have the exact numbers, but I think it's probably going to be about 30,000 is what we want to raise. And if we can raise a little bit more, that's always good too, right? It always makes things easier. And hopefully we'll be able to do it. We'll try to get the word out there and, because it's I think it's time. There's and hopefully people will be so, upset about the most recent Black Christmas official movie that came out that they'll be eager to see, Billy back in action. So now it's a short film. I mean, It's Me, Billy's not a feature. It's probably be about a 25 minute, 30 minute, short film, but it's cool what we've written. James Carr says, was your short Halloween film that you did with Bruce in an apartment? It was. Yes. Yep. It was in an apartment. That's right. Yeah. A buddy of ours. That's where we did it. And it worked out. I mean, we were just messing around. Like, we were just like, hey, let's just shoot. I shot that entire thing on this phone here, the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. And we shot it entirely on that. Now, when I put the footage into my editing software, I did, color grade it and, tweak it and things like that and make it look a little more professional. But the whole thing was shot on that. That and a gimbal. We had a gimbal to mimic sort of the Steadicam vibe as Bruce is walking down the hall or, whatever it is, right? That was a lot of fun to do. We shot it in about 10 hours. I edited it and put everything together, sound design, color correction, everything in about 20 hours, I think, over the course of 2 days. Who the fuck's this guy? Oh, he's a taxi driver. Now, Carpenter only directed this movie, and I believe he helped. Did he help to write it? I'm drawing a blank. Carpenter, Yes, he wrote it and directed it. But he did not do the music, though. And the cinematography was Robert B. Hauser. Robert B. Hauser. Do we know him from anything? Oh, I see. Okay. A lot of old television shit. That's cool. Cool. So minute and 30, so we're an hour and a half into the movie now, only about 7-10 minutes left in the movie. And Lee Michaels, of course, has gone back to her apartment here. She's in her apartment. She thinks she knows what's going on, who it is, and she wants to make certain that that she's right. She's looking around. What the hell is she looking for again? I forget if she's looking for another. Damn, I haven't seen this movie in so long. It's fun though. I like watching this. It's cool little movie. And if you're a John Carpenter fan, you gotta see it. James Carr says, I enjoyed your short film more than Halloween. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll let Bruce know. He'll be like, wow, that's awesome. I'm going to get Bruce on this channel a lot more. Don't worry. I definitely am. Because it'd be so much fun to have him on here as well. Look how quiet it is. And the camera's following her around this dark apartment. She's opened her blind or her curtains. The camera's moving. It's a POV shot. She's looking around. It does feel really eerie with no music, just the sounds of the elements. She's trying to, it's very creepy. Excuse me. Frank Riker says, if this was Murder, She Wrote, when do we get to see Angela Lansbury naked? I don't think that's anything anybody wants to see. Cool little effect there with the sparks flying from the plug. Jason Knight says, I recently did a National Lampoon's Vacation marathon. I laughed so hard at the first movie, forgot all about. The first movie is my favorite. I like the first one the best, the one where they go to Wally World, then Christmas Vacation, then Vegas Vacation, then European Vacation. I like European Vacation, but I don't know. For some reason, it was a real step down from that first movie. Oh, my stomach is growling. Here it is. So she's reading a note. Here it is. No touches of sadness, no guilt for anyone to bear. Damn it, I forgot the last part there. Didn't see it in time. Did not see it in time. Ooh, he's hiding in the apartment. He's afraid of you. He might be. He might be. She says, you're afraid to get too close. She's standing in her dark apartment. POV shot camera is looking around, all the shadows. Come on, face me, she says. This is cool. Jason Knight says, did you like Vacation with Ed Helms as Rusty? I like portions of it, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original, right? I did like the little cameos with, Ellen and Clark, Chevy and Beverly D'Angelo. That was nice, it's fan service, right? He's still got a truckster, like as if he'd have a truckster. Fascinating. So she's... Oh, there he is! That was nice. I like that. And again, you can't really see his face too clearly. The music is like da 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 da. Oh, he has her up. He's taking her to the balcony, and she's trying. That's a great shot. That's awesome. He's putting her over the balcony, and there's this above shot looking down. You can see the cars below. She's trying to reach for a piece of glass to stab him, and you still haven't seen his face. You have no idea what he looks like, really. You get a general sense. That's really good. I love that shot. I'm going to screen grab that and share that after this movie's done. That's great. I love that. Just really like it. It's cool. Now, that's probably a matte painting or a screen of some kind. It's not actually. Oh, so she's got. Oh, now you see his face. Now you see his face. I don't know if I would have shown his face. But anyway, she grabs the glass off the broken window and stabs him in the back. And he's walking backward, and that's when you see his face for the first time. Which I guess is a nice payoff, I guess, in some respects. He walks towards the balcony, all hurt because he's been stabbed in the back, and he falls over the balcony to his death. It was cool. And slow zoom up on Lauren Hutton's face. Oh, you got too close, she says. And it ends like a typical, television show would, or an episode of Murder, She Wrote or something. I don't know. Executive producer, Richard Corbis. Doesn't this look like the end of a TV show? I love it. I love it. Guest starring Charles Cyphers. Looks like we've watched and it ends, the credits are coming on the screen over the backdrop, over the nighttime LA skyline. Sounds like the ending of some 80s cop show or something. It's great stuff. That, ladies and gentlemen, is 1978's Someone's Watching Me, written and directed by John Carpenter. And you know what? If you're a John Carpenter fan, I think it's a movie that you got to see. It doesn't mean you're going to like the movie. Maybe you're like, yeah, it was okay, kind of slow, wasn't really my thing, and that's okay. That's cool. But I think it's always important when you're, to see everybody's work. Like, there's still some Spielberg films I haven't seen. And there's still some Harrison Ford films I haven't seen. I haven't seen, The Frisco Kid. I haven't seen, what's that other one? Damn it, The Conversation? Was he in that one? Anyway, there's a few of his I haven't seen yet. Back when he was very early on in his career. Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round. I believe that's the name of the movie, where he's got a cameo as a bellhop or a bellboy. Say like, paging Mr. Ellis. Paging Mr. Ellis. I think I froze there for a second. Did I freeze? I think I froze for just like half a second. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah. But so the point I'm making is that I think it's important that you at least see it once, folks. You at least see it once. So I think it's kind of cool. Anyways, folks, that is going to do it for me. Thank you to those of you who tuned in to watch this live and ask some questions. To Tabitha, thank you very much for joining us. It's always great when Tabitha can join in on the conversation, of course, because obviously she's a busy bee being a new mom to her son. And Jacqueline McEwen, of course, it's always great to see you in here, and Frank and James Carr and Jason Nike and who else we got? We got Jim Dorsey as well, and Thunder Knock Studios, and there's a couple other people that came in early on too, I think. Where are we here? Yeah. I think so. I think I got it all. But yeah, awesome stuff. And folks, thank you again. Sincerely, I say this at the end of every Patreon thing, but I sincerely mean it. Thank you for your continued support every month for the channel. It keeps these things going. It helps me to schedule this kind of time. And we're only going to continue to grow, and that's really important. And it's great to have you guys here, being a part of it. So it's awesome. Now, for level number 3 patrons, a reminder, this Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to do a Thorazine. Now, because there hasn't been really much Halloween news going on, we can talk about Halloween, of course, but until some major Halloween news drops, the episodes of Thorazine will be a little lax, a little bit. We can talk about other things too. So I will have seen Star Wars by then, so maybe you can ask I don't want to take up the whole show unless everybody wants to talk about that, but it's also going to be really hard to talk about it without doing spoilers as well. But nonetheless, reminder, 11 a.m. Thorazine, Saturday morning, and then of course next Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, December 23rd. I know it's like right close to Christmas Eve there, but it'll be Tony and I's last Two Dudes and Some Bullshit before the Christmas break. We only do it once a week anyway, and we're watching Black Christmas. So Black Christmas next Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel. Don't miss that as well. I'll put an advertisement for that up very shortly. So what do we got? Tabitha says, have a good night, Dave and you guys. Bedtime for us. And yes, absolutely, of course. Have a great night, Tabitha. You rock. And Frank, nighty-night, Frank. Glad you got home safe. And James Carr says, something tells me Star Wars will be a hot topic. It might be. All righty, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thanks very much, and I will talk to you guys soon. All righty, cheers.